Hello, everyone, and welcome to the sixth episode of Thoughts from the Couch. I'm Tim.
I'm Tarun.
And I'm Krishna.
And this week's... Oh, I fucked that up. Hey, it's been 2 weeks since we did this, okay? Oh my god. Okay. In this week's video, we'll be discussing the switch of this month's PlayStation Plus games, the newly announced release date for the definitive edition remaster of Telltale's The Walking Dead, and the new trailer for Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back.
We'll also be discussing the news that Disney has finally found a lead for the upcoming Little Mermaid movie. Let's get started.
Since it's the beginning of the month, Sony has released new games for PlayStation Plus, their premium online subscription service, Horizon Chase Turbo, a racing game, and the latest installment in the Pro Evolution Soccer series PES 2019 were announced as July's lineup a few weeks ago. However, a last-minute change meant that subscribers received Detroit Become Human instead of Konami's PES 2019. The deluxe edition of Detroit, which was previously a PlayStation exclusive, has now been made free for PS Plus subscribers.
According to a statement by Konami, the company claims that they were not responsible for the last-minute change to July's lineup, and that any responsibility for the swap belongs to Sony. Of course, the Switch, which was announced by a post on the PlayStation blog, means that subscribers also get a free copy of Heavy Rain, another of Quantic Dream's games, which comes bundled with the deluxe edition of Detroit. So, what do you guys think of the last-minute swap?
I didn't think I wanted PES anyway, so getting Detroit. I already had Detroit, but I'm happy to get the deluxe edition of it. I'm okay with this change. I think
It's good for me. I played Detroit and I didn't think I would play it again, so I sold it, and then I kind of regretted selling it, but now I have it for free, so worked out in the end, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've actually been seeing online that some people actually wanted PES, which is kind of weird to me because I don't know. I don't really like sports games, and they're not really my thing. Obviously, I just think that they made the change at all is kind of unusual. I don't think they've ever done it before, to my knowledge. And obviously, we don't have any idea why they've done it.
It is a little odd to do this last minute change because they've never done it before, and it seems they have done it because compared to the last few months, we've been getting some pretty good games, and this month was just overly underwhelming.
Yeah, I guess because obviously, since it's been a while since they've actually stopped including, PlayStation 3 games and PS Vita games with PlayStation Plus. So now these days it's just for games for PS4. But I don't know, it's like it still seems like PlayStation Plus is not as, good value as before. Because, they've not really done anything to replace the whole, we're taking away PS3 and PS Vita. It's just so weird to me that they changed it at all because, I didn't see, that much, backlash against PES this time around. I know, people don't really like it, but I thought it was like just, kind of a meh reaction to it.
I didn't see anyone really rant about getting these two games this month, so I didn't think Sony would do anything about it, but they did, which is very confusing, but also like it's a nice change.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't know who they're listening to. I don't know why they've done it. But, I prefer Detroit over PES any day. So, I'm okay with this.
But yeah, more from Sony's side of things. Insomniac Games have also given players of their Spider-Man game a present. To coincide with the release of Spider-Man Far From Home, Insomniac have released two suits based off the movie's stealth suit and, of course, the one based off the new red and black suit. The new suits are now available through an update.
Obviously, it's nice to see developers supporting their game with new content. So what do we think of the new suits? Have you guys tried them or?
Yes, I've tried it already. I've played around a lot with it. I've been playing the whole story again with the new Far From Home suit.
Yeah, obviously, I know we all went to see Far From Home. We've all seen it. And I think we all quite enjoyed it. Is it right to say that? I think we have. So obviously, having these new suits is nice. I've tried them a little as well and, really enjoyed it. So you guys are going to be playing the game again?
Yeah, like I said, I already started a new story.
I would, yeah.
It's definitely a nice addition to this game.
Have they added new power sets or abilities to these new suits that are different from what the game originally had?
As far as I know, the new suit doesn't come with any special powers. It's just like a cosmetic thing. It's just a skin, but obviously, with the system you have in game, you can give the suit a power from any of the other suits.
Yeah, they could have easily asked for money for these suits, but I like that they gave it for free as part of an update.
unlike some other companies which would, charge you for these extra suits. EA. In other news, we're returning to Telltale this week with the news that Skybound Games have announced a release date for a complete collection of Telltale's The Walking Dead games. According to Skybound, the collection will be a remaster of all 4 seasons of Telltale's The Walking Dead series, as well as their spin-offs, including 400 Days and The Walking Dead Michonne.
According to Skybound, the complete collection will be known as the Telltale Definitive Series, and the games will be remastered on the engine that the final season was developed on. The collection will also include a new graphics filter, known as Graphic Black, which will give the game a similar look to the monochrome colors of the original Walking Dead comics.
The collection will be released on September 10th on consoles and on the Epic Games Store. The games will also come with behind-the-scenes developer commentary. Of course, Telltale has now been shut down for a while, and as you know, Skybound were ultimately responsible for completing the final season of The Walking Dead. So, what do you guys think?
I'm actually kind of excited for this. I know I've been saying, I want to try The Walking Dead. I've heard people say it's very good. Never played them at all. So when this collection comes out, I'm probably going to be one of the guys who gets it. Slowly becoming more of a fan of Telltale, which, it's kind of a shame now that they're actually shut down. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, I also haven't played the Walking Dead games, and now that they're releasing a whole collection just to give everything, I might get it as well.
Yeah, because, personally, I've been looking on the PlayStation Store, and you can get each season individually right now. But then I figured, it's actually kind of expensive if you want to do all that. Obviously, The Walking Dead is one of the few games from Telltale that's still available on sale. As far as I know, that's actually because the company shut down halfway through the game's final season, and Skybound Entertainment, which was founded by The Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman, stepped in. Skybound had as many of the original team sort of on board, and they finished it off. So that's why The Walking Dead is still available, is because these people sort of had the rights to sell it and distribute it. When games like Tales from the Borderlands were actually, been taken down. I just finished my first playthrough of Tales from the Borderlands, and I really, really enjoyed it. So, it's a real shame to me this company is not around anymore. Obviously, these are still available, so when this comes out, I'll try these because I've enjoyed the previous stuff.
Moving on to movie news, the Pokemon Company has released a new trailer for their upcoming movie Pokemon, Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution.
What a long name.
Pokemon announced the movie back in April 2019 and recently released a new trailer with some pretty off-brand music by Rita Ora, Let You Love Me. The film seems to be a CG remake of the first Pokemon movie from 1998 called Mewtwo Strikes Back.
The movie is scheduled to be released in Japan on July 12th, with an English dubbed version of the movie coming out later this year.
What do you guys think? Do we need or even want this movie?
I think I've watched one Pokemon movie, and that was one of the Pokemon Ranger ones. That was ages ago. So I don't know.
I'd watch this just for fun.
Have you guys actually, anyone ever seen the first movie? Obviously, this 1998 one. I know some people actually quite like it. I've never actually seen it myself. Have you guys watched it?
No.
No, Krishna?
No, I haven't.
I haven't seen any of the Pokemon movies. I think I did one, but I don't remember which one it was, but it wasn't the first one. So we have no reference in mind for this announcement, but we just know it's happening. And from the looks of it, it looks pretty mediocre. No one really understands why they're doing it, rather than just, you can just watch the better animated movie.
Obviously, I love that they have the over-the-top Japanese style titling, Mewtwo Strikes Back's Evolution.
Yeah.
It's a bit much. It's a bit much, but maybe when the English dub comes out, whenever that comes out.
Or just rewatch the first movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That title is two titles spliced into one. Either go Mewtwo Evolution or Mewtwo Strikes Back.
Yeah, it's just a bit off, isn't it?
It's like Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Oh god, that movie.
Long title. Just unnecessary. Okay, so moving on to news about another remake. Disney announced this week that they've cast the lead for the upcoming live-action movie based on The Little Mermaid. This is, of course, the news that Disney has cast R&B singer Halle Bailey as Ariel in their upcoming live-action adaptation of The Little Mermaid. According to director Rob Marshall, Bailey was chosen after an extensive search, and that it was abundantly clear that Halle possesses that rare combination of spirit, heart, youth, innocence, and substance plus a glorious singing voice, all intrinsic qualities necessary to play this iconic role.
Bailey has a background in music, having started Chloe x Haley, a music group with her sister Chloe, and posting covers of Beyonce's music on YouTube. This is the first time Bailey has acted in a feature film. So, what do you guys think of the new casting choice?
I don't mind it as long as, she does well in the role. I know a lot of people are against it due to her skin color and saying, Ariel's Danish, then she should be white.
Just to point it out, she's not actually, I don't think she's actually Danish. I mean, she belongs to like a whole fictional culture, which kind of...
She's a daughter of Neptune, a Roman mythological god, right? No. Or is this a different Neptune?
I don't really know, but I'm thinking, it's kind of like she's not Danish though. She's based off a Danish story tale, but the whole culture is fictional. So
I guess you can say she's Atlantean. I mean, they are in Atlantis, right?
I think so. It's been a long time since I watched Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
And obviously, she has like a pretty good singing background. Not checked out any of your music, but it sounds pretty good to me, I guess, from what people are saying. So go for it. You guys still interested in watching this movie?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I don't think I ever was interested.
I'm about as interested in watching this as watching the new Lion King. As in, not. I need to see more before I make a decision.
So obviously, for those of you who don't know, this is obviously another one of Disney's live action remakes of their classic animated films. Obviously, they've done Aladdin earlier this year, and there's been a few more before that. This hasn't begun production yet. It will begin production pretty soon, I think, after they've announced. I know they've also talked about talking with Melissa McCarthy, who they're looking to have play Ursula, which is interesting casting.
No, she definitely has that Ursula look.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. That's.
She has a Ursula what?
She has the look, her face.
No.
Yeah.
Oof.
No, I mean...
Sorry, Melissa McCarthy.
I mean, she can totally, act and, her face resembles... Like, when I think of her face, I can see a similarity. I don't mean this in a bad way.
No, of course not. No, I get what you're saying here. Absolutely. Anyways, back to obviously, talking about Bailey a bit more. Obviously, I think it was Krishna. You said there was some concern, some comments you were seeing online. Obviously, I know the racists are out in force, as they always are going to be.
Yeah, people were all up in arms, I guess, about the character's skin color, right? As Tarun mentioned earlier. And there seems to be a trend where studios are trying to appease minority populations, and there's definitely that conversation in this case.
I think there's a point to be made. Obviously, all for more representation, like cinema and stuff. But after a certain point, you just see they're just doing this, for the sake of good PR or whatever, rather than actually doing it, for sort of genuine reasons. Yeah, obviously, representation. Obviously, you have any reason for that, it should be okay, but. Something just strikes me as off about it, when you try to, do it just for, PR. And that's kind of what I'm feeling here a bit, to be honest.
Yeah, it's almost like they're not interested in telling predominantly black stories, just employ black actors.
Yeah, so, obviously, that's the question, is this a good way to, do representation? I mean, some people would say, any representation is good, but I don't know if this is, what you would call, quality. It doesn't feel particularly genuine to me. That's probably my issue with it.
I saw a YouTube comment.
Oh God.
That I saw it was a comment on YouTube or Reddit, I think, where they said, if they really wanted to represent the black population, they would have adapted a story like The Princess and the Frog, which was an animated movie from I don't know how many years ago was it released?
That's one of the more recent ones, I think.
2009.
Oh yeah, I watched that movie and it was really good.
Obviously all these movies tend to be really good. Actually that raises an interesting point, because I was talking with Tarun earlier and I mentioned, I don't know how I would feel, if they cast someone white to play Mulan, for example. Obviously they haven't.
I don't think they would do that in the first place. The backlash.
Yeah, obviously the backlash you would face.
Of astronomical proportions.
And then to raise a good point that, they probably wouldn't do it for something like Mulan, because Mulan is actually like something that's very, linked to the Chinese culture or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is a good point, because, this Little Mermaid, you could argue, is not so closely linked to like a real world culture in that way. So that way you can have like a black actress playing, a character that previously was depicted as white. So I think that's a good way of seeing it. Tarun, anything to say? You've been kind of quiet on this.
I mean, really, like, I don't really care about the casting as long as she does well in the role. And the point about casting a black actress for a traditionally white role, I think they expected a lot of backlash, because it's not like it's the first time it's happened.
No, you're right. It's definitely not the first time,
Yeah, so maybe they have faith in her as an actress, purely.
That's all we can really think, right?
I think they're kind of saying to, everybody else that, we should have faith in this as well. And I'm still going to go watch it, keep my mind open until I've seen the trailers and all that. I mean, even Aladdin, it was much better than the trailer suggested.
Yeah,
so.
That's true.
Moving on to our weekly review roundup. This week we have Annabelle Comes Home, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Detroit Become Human.
Yeah, Detroit Become Home. just to finish off. So many homes this week.
That would have been great. Yeah.
Anyways, I feel like we should start off with Annabelle. Obviously, Krishna hasn't seen it. Turan and I weren't. Mm-hmm. And we were basically hiding under our seats for most of the movie.
I think most of the audience in our cinema just had their eyes covered for the most of it.
Yeah, pretty much. I've seen Conjuring. I've seen all of them except The Nun, and quite enjoyed them. So it was nice to see that I think this is one of the better entries in the Conjuring franchise. It's not as good as Annabelle Creation, which I think is still the best in the Annabelle movies. So if you guys haven't seen Annabelle Creation and you're a fan of horror, you need to see that movie. Because it's actually a lot scarier than this one. But this one is still actually kind of terrifying.
Is it scarier than The Conjuring 2? That's my question.
Overall, it has like fewer scares, but those scares that it does have, they're, better designed, they're more well timed. Obviously, you take some of the scares out, you don't have quantity so much as quality. So, the scares in this movie are kind of more high quality, if you like. So, they had more time to think things through, think how the sequences are gonna, play out. And they've actually done quite a good job with that. Obviously, the performance in this movie, acting wise, they're also quite good. Obviously, it still falls back in some of the horror, traditional horror movie tropes. People doing stupid stuff, for not particularly clear reasons.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think the favorite of ours was just watching, that teenage character. Oh no, my flashlight has gone out, and there's like a light switch on the wall behind her. It's a bit, it takes you out of the movie a bit.
Yeah.
And also, there was like a ton of fog in that movie. Did you guys notice that?
But I feel like that's more like an homage to very traditional retro horror movies.
After a while, I just found it kind of silly because, these characters, they don't actually like comment on the fog like at all.
Yeah.
It's just like they're walking through the house. It's like completely foggy. It's like, no way, this house could be like that foggy naturally. It's like open the windows in like the middle of like fog season or something like that. Anyways, pretty scary movie. If you guys want scares, you're a fan of horror, definitely can recommend that movie.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, just be aware, that it still has, many of the traditional horror movie problems. Anyways, Spider-Man, what do we think?
I loved the movie. Speaking of horror, there were some horror elements in this film.
Yeah, I was actually really impressed by the effects this time. I thought the effects were really good. Obviously, we talk, when you talk about MCU, special effects, you're always like talking. Doctor Strange is the one that comes up. In
your review, you said there are Doctor Strange-esque effects in this movie, right?
It's not quite on the same level as that, but it's just as good. It's very appropriate. It's like good use of the space and all that.
Yeah, and also here, this movie pushes Spider-Man, Peter Parker, to the absolute limit. I enjoyed seeing that.
It's a very good continuation of the MCU, actually. Following Endgame and Tony Stark's death and how, Peter deals with that in particular. And I think it just, continues that sort of story quite well. It's all about legacy and stuff like that. The story is really good, I thought. Because, I mentioned in the review that I don't know how I feel about them taking Spider-Man away from New York, which is kind of like his home turf. But obviously in this movie, they did it really well. And they took him abroad and it was still really good. Despite him not being, in New York as sort of tradition demands.
The city doesn't make the hero.
I really loved it too. Liked it more than Homecoming. I definitely would go and watch it again when I have the time.
Tom Holland, Jake Gyllenhaal, Zendaya, all like fantastic in that movie.
Yeah, all the actors in the movie have great chemistry with each other.
Still not quite as good as Into the Spider-Verse though, I will say that. We can't like say what exactly happens, but as you know, many Marvel movies do have a mid-credit scene and a post-credit scene. Is it worth staying behind?
Yes.
If you're a fan of Spider-Man, absolutely stay behind. There's such a great surprise at the end. I don't want to spoil it, but it's actually like genuinely good. Moving on, Detroit. Obviously, we've been discussing this a bit since it was one of our PlayStation Plus games for this month after that last minute swap. So we've had a Detroit review up for a while now, but we took a look at it and we didn't think it was that great. So I went back, sort of went through it, made a new review essentially. Still a great game, very strong central performances. The gameplay is quite unique in that Quantic Dream sort of way. Great stories.
Some of you guys might already know it's a post-futuristic world of androids being basically as convenient as smartphones, like Tim said in his review.
I quite like the way they did the world. The world feels very real. It's not like, sci-fi utopia. It's not dystopia. It's sort of in the middle there where they sort of looked at our world today and they projected it forward. How does all this, technology and how does our reaction to that? How do we adapt to that in the future? How will this, be taken forward? And I feel like it's very realistic. It's like a plausible take on the future. That really helps it because it has this like sort of like a rich history, like a rich, background story. You want to hear more about, how do we get to this point? Obviously, like I said, very strong characters, very good stories. Sometimes they, tend to have a bit too much exposition. They tend to be a bit, melodramatic. But, the thing about Detroit is really it has like this really strong like central performance, and that sort of makes you forgive all the problems with it. And okay, there are some problems. I know I was playing a little bit recently just to see how it held up after we did our last review for it. Found an issue when I was walking around. The collision is kind of awkward. You're like bouncing off other characters, which is like a bit because you don't want to have that in a game that has such well-designed, environments.
Yeah, very realistic.
And, you're bumping off people.
Yeah,
you're like bumping off people. You don't want that to happen because it kind of takes you out of it.
That sounds like a small nitpick though, right? For the overall game.
It doesn't make the game like that much worse. It's just, something to mention because it happens quite frequently and it's just like sticks in your mind when you're trying to play it. It should be like a smooth experience. It's not always that smooth.
In the very short time I've had playing it, I really like how they've managed to sort of capture a set of different reactions to every situation. Let the player decide. It's great to see these dimensions of human reaction expressed in such a way.
I get what you mean. It feels like they've accounted for every possibility.
Yeah.
Is what you mean. It's every reaction, every emotion you could have. For those of you guys who have a PC and an Epic Game Store account, Detroit is coming to you as well. It's no longer a PlayStation exclusive, and it will be out for you, I think, later this year. So, yeah, you can look forward to that. Anyways, that's all for this week. Apologies for not getting an episode out last week. You guys can rest assured that we're now back on our regular scheduled programming.
As always, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram in the links below, so you get notified for whenever we post new content. Until next week. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
See ya.